Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. But who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Fresh off of a victory, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But we are always here so graciously accompanied by our content genius, Michael Rivers, who's behind the camera as he speaks, and his hand is basically up my ass like a puppet. I only say what he tells me to say. So if I ever say anything that offends you, blame Michael. I'm kidding. Kidding about that. No, but he and I work together, and this is a labor of love, and I absolutely love working with Michael. We're like 28,000 away from $1 million. Amazing, right? So let me just start this episode by telling you what I've been doing all week. I've been in trial and kicking a prosecutor's ass, which was just amazing. I tried 12 cases in the last year and a half. I think I've won 9 out of the 12, which is a pretty good record. I don't care who you are. When you are sitting there and your client is looking at, major felony, possible jail or prison time, lifelong changes, and all of a sudden you keep the government from getting into his life anymore, there's just no greater feeling. You give your client his life back, and we worked hard for a couple of years on this case. Still almost bad for this prosecutor. I'm not going to tell you who he is, but it's my third acquittal against this prosecutor. And it's just like, but we won, and we kicked some ass. And oh, God, I love it. And just so you know, when I say I've tried 12 cases over the last 18 months or, year and a half, that doesn't mean that's all I've had. It's just those 12 cases. I probably handle about 70 to 90 cases a year. That's on average. I eat, sleep, breathe criminal defense, and I just absolutely love it. And so this week, when I had a client hanging on my every word, and you hope to God you're giving the best advice you can, and you hope that when you try the case, that the jury that you're dealing with receives your message, because you don't know how your witnesses are going to come off, and just to have all that work culminate, really almost like a final exam, and you learn that you passed the exam, and it's life changing or life affirming, really. And on another little announcement, for lack of a better word, so the month of August here, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be on a motorcycle trip with my buddies. We are going from Minnesota to Alaska and back, 7 guys. So I'm going to be probably updating with some epilogue footage, all not epilogue, but, footage of our trip. And maybe I'll react in a different way, and we'll have some other episodes that are a little bit different. And not sure exactly how that's going to work, but you know what? I have what somebody doesn't have, most people don't have. I have a content genius named Michael Rivers. So he and I are going to collaborate and make sure this becomes kind of interesting for you guys, okay? All right, we're going to react today to the update on Melly. But before we get to that, my grandma got popped. She wound up getting arrested, and we had to do a bail bonds for a $50,000 bond. So what we did is we e-signed it. I was in trial, so I couldn't make it over to the bonding agency. They sent me over the paperwork, and I signed it, e-signed, because it was super easy for them, because all they had to do was download the app. They got 3 free signatures a month, and I was able to e-sign the document. We bailed Grandma out. Now we can't find her. She's on the run. So this is what she looks like. She's a little bit crazy. This is her van. And if you see her around, Grandma's on the run. It's not e-sign, no one signs. And for me, it was an effective way to do business. I use it all the time in my practice when somebody can't make it into the office. However, and this was really easy to do because Grandma now is on the fucking run, and I got to find her before her next court date. So if you guys find her, I want to know in the comments if you've seen my grandma. Okay? All right. Melly. They're wrapping up Melly. They're wrapping up the trial. And the last witness is their lead detective on the case. Now, a lead detective, when you cross-examine a lead detective, and we're going to react to that next week when you see this cross-examination, It's easy to have the lead detective, slop in, the evidence, because the prosecutor's job is just to basically, and then what happened? Then what did you do? But they've got to organize it, and they have to be able to try to blunt some of the defense's theories in the case. And in this case, it's interesting. I don't know who they're going to call. I think the only witnesses that they could really call that are going to make a difference, maybe Melly's mom. They're probably going to call some experts, forensics examiner, like a ballistics person, and probably their own medical examiner. And I doubt Melly's going to testify. So, but my prediction that Bortland was going to testify looks like that went by the wayside. I was wrong about that. I just think it's funny that he's out on $100,000 bond on a homicide. And his trial's coming up in, I think, October or something like that. So let's kind of look and see some of the evidence that's coming in. So remember, one of the big issues in this case was your cell phone. Now, how often do you use this thing? How often? Look at all the messages. Oh, look at all this. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. And we sit there and we use it constantly, right? It is basically your soul. It describes everything you do day to day, from your location to the text messages that you send, to the apps that you use, to your banking information, everything about your life, your spending, everything about it. And so one of the things that they did in this case is they had the officer or the lead detective go through the phone. So let's kind of watch the video and some of the trial testimony and see what happens.
Were any man purses, satchels found in that gray Jeep?
No, ma'am.
The first thing he does is he starts talking about, and this surveillance video is huge. And the satchel was a big piece of evidence as well. It's arguably that's where he had the gun.
Specifically, the beige one that's pictured at 2/18/40.
No, ma'am, we did not recover that.
Continuing forward to 2/19/05.
And that's Melly with that big thing in the back of his jacket.
Was a black satchel recovered?
No, ma'am.
Specifically the one that is seen in the individual in the black and white jacket?
Correct, ma'am.
Did Mr. Henry have possession of either of those satchels or man purses at the hospital?
No, ma'am.
So they get in the car and that bag is not there. They get in the car, and they seize the car at the hospital. And sometimes it is just as powerful to show what isn't there as to what is there. So, for example, if all of a sudden the location services on your phone has been turned off between X hour and X hour, like in the Koberger case, that's interesting because you can look back at the history, you can see, well, that didn't happen here, and somehow just during the crime that happened. So that's what you call consciousness of guilt. And in this case, the absence of the bags that the two men had, that's interesting. Why? Where did they go? I mean, there was no reason to take those. And where is Melly at the time they go to the hospital?
So, Detective Moretti, I want to go here to Publishing States 90. Once you have your bearings on this point from the 9807 phone, I'm going to switch over to the other side at 4:03 a.m.
And all of this digital information is balls on accurate. And really, from a defense perspective, you can't argue with it. And what they're showing here is that the location of Melly's phone during the time of the crime.
What area does this depict?
This is the actual crime scene on US 27 and Pembroke Road.
And approximately where along Pembroke Road on this map were those casings discovered?
It was on the south side of the road, about 820 meters from US 27. 820 feet from US 27, and approximately where the GPS coordinate is at.
Okay.
essentially what they're doing here is they've had a bunch of different witnesses testify, right? About the phone, about the surveillance video, about the forensics, whatever. So then you take the lead detective and you kind of summarize, for the jury, the last bits of information. And now they're talking about some text message that was going on. And here's the other thing. Stay off the fucking phone if you're in jail. Stay off the fucking phone. And don't try to talk in code when you're in phone or when you're in jail. I mean, it's ridiculous. The reason I say that is because why? The reason I say that is because if you are on the phone, it's 100% recorded. And one of the things Melly did in this thing is he gave his mother the code to his phone, the one that they seized. And then all of a sudden, they listened to that, and then it opened the phone. But keep in mind, that's one of the ways they're also able to establish the identity of the owner of this phone, because Melly's telling her what the code is, and because he wants her to get a number out of his phone for his manager, and so she's able to unlock the phone with the code that he gives her. And every word going through one of those phones is being listened to by an agent of the government. Now, this other part, these text messages, he talks to Sakchaser, and they got a beef, and it looks like he's trying to calm him down. Artists, just to look good, do the same shit be doing under you, because I let you be the face, but I'm the CEO. All right, now I butchered the shit out of that. Sorry about that. But here's the thing. What he's basically saying is, just because you're Pop and you're the front man doesn't mean that you own the whole, company. And so this is a dispute about dough.
And I meant to tell you all, I told you before, we went to Cali, that me and Juvie, CEO, Peso, the artist, because you be moving on this music just because you Pop ain't fitting be looking confused all my life. Y'all really, my artist, you ain't doing that part right. I got these N-words right. Y'all ain't fitting, just keep saying that y'all be on some lifestyle shit, just can't say they artists just to look good, do the same shit I be doing. I'm just under you because I let you be the face, but I'm the CEO.
So you can see that as far as Sakchaser is concerned, there's a dispute. And it's a dispute about you're getting all the clout and I ain't getting any shout. So let's continue. And these are powerful because they've got text messages from almost a year's worth of text messages from Melly. Number one, establishing ownership of the phone. And number two, establishing the beef right around the time that they were killed.
I'm good. It's just somebody telling me y'all up to something. You don't owe me nothing. We is the same person. But how you let this shit keep going this far? What if it was the other way around? My mom wouldn't be doing no shit like this.
I know you all are up to something. Meaning he thinks he's getting fucked over. And you're letting it go too far. You can tell he's really upset. And he's really upset with both Melly's mom and with him.
Next message at 12:40 p.m. from the 9081.
I'm bullying. Ain't say I was beefing with you before. I let something happen to me or play with my family. Everyone will die. Shit like that. Duck with my blood.
So, now he's talking about everyone will die, and this is Sakchaser now talking to Melly.
And the response from the 9807 phone number on 12/40/41/8/30/2018.
I don't consider her my mama. No mo, fuck that bitch, bro. I know, I feel, yeah, that shit weird, bro.
So he's basically dishing on his own mom. In other words, disavowing his mother and his mother's stuff. And maybe he's doing that to just kind of lay low, to keep Sakchaser just not thinking he's up to anything.
August 30th, 2018. From the 9081 phone number at 1241:30.
Then she keep telling people shit about me, and I'm not even worried about her, bro. I'm trying to bull do me. Why? And that's always worried about me. And what the fuck you talking about? How you gonna leave? And we can't even get in the gate without you be on some crazy shit.
And the response on August 30th, 2018, 12:41 p.m. from the 9807.
Like, I don't even be knowing what the fuck to say. No mo. She do shit out of the blue. She the devil. For real. Shit crazy. I don't got shit to do with it. No mo. If you all kill her, fuck it, bro. She ain't my mama. She sold her soul.
So he's almost endorsing them killing his mother. If you all kill her, you know, so be it. She sold her soul. And so when you're in a beef with somebody like that and you talk like this and you're siding with them, the only reason you do that is to get them to kind of feel more comfortable with you. So the defense later files a motion for a mistrial based on that last text message, calling his mom a bitch and all that stuff, and how it's irrelevant. But it really isn't irrelevant. I mean, it really is relevant to the fact that he's siding with Sakchaser. Now, this is a cold individual, because if he really did kill these two young men, watch this video. This is what he does later. This is like just hours later. Not a care in the world. Not a care in the world. And his two buddies are dead. And he knows it. And then you've got Bortland sitting right there too. And the thing about it is, and I see this all the time, he probably thinks he got away with it. He probably thinks he's in the clear. Oh, you told him that story? Okay, good. We're done. And then one of the last pieces of evidence that they showed this week was, you know, if they had some issue with one of the lawyers getting sick, so they were supposed to finish this week, but they're going to finish on Monday. But one of the last pieces of evidence that they showed this week was part of a video, documentary, you know, involving Melly. Let's watch this, and I'm going to tell you what this means on the other side of this.
This shit like a dream. Shit we done prayed for. It's like really hit. Everybody proud, like everybody happy.
And if you look at the caption on the screen at the end of this video, it says, 4 days after the completion of this film, YNW Melly and his friends were the targets of a drive-by shooting in Miami, Florida. Now, I don't know who wrote that, but does that somehow mean that Melly was there? Did they slip up in saying that? I don't know. But the judge let it in, and so this is going to end next week. On Monday. Then they're going to start on the defense case. Now, they could put some character witnesses on, but they're not going to do that. And the reason they're not going to do that is because, you know, the prosecution cannot put on character witnesses of the accused unless the accused puts it in play. So if the defendant puts on character witnesses, they can put on bad character witnesses. The prosecution can. So I don't think they're going to do any of that. I think they'll be more technical with their presentation. I don't think they're going to, you know, they've made some allegations that they didn't follow up with any of the leads, of other suspects. You got one guy who admitted that he was, responsible for the killings, but guess where he was? He was in jail at the time, so it was impossible for him to do that. There's other people who have said they had particular knowledge of what happened, but they just heard it on the street, and so they were kind of dispatched. But so I think the defense is going to probably focus largely on the technical aspects of things. On the technical aspect of, you don't have Melly holding the gun. You don't have his prints on a gun. You don't even have a gun. You don't have a weapon. You don't have. It looks like there's motive, but they're gonna make short shrift of the motive in this case. So we'll keep following this. It's an interesting trial, but the defense has got a big hill to climb. So we'll see you next time here in Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, sign up for Patreon, and we'll see you next time here in Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. 23-hour lockdown, police is at my god.